Hey everyone, this is the LEGO Speed Champions Ferrari FXX-K and Development Center set. Well, this has a very nice car in it, so let's look at that first. Wow, this actually looks even better up this close than it did to me just from a normal human perspective. I'm looking at it on the monitor right now, coming straight off the camera, and yeah, it's giving me even more appreciation for it. This to me looks more like the source material than did the previous LaFerrari set, especially from these front angles. I noticed as I started to rotate it around here, the nose started to look funky to me. So I'm not so happy just from this angle here with the lines coming all the way out towards the nose. And I don't know why my arrow is being really jumpy. There we go. All out here. It's just a little bit too long looking to me. But from the quarter angles, yeah, that's pretty much it. The quarter angles, rear, most of the front angles, it looks really good. This does share, as expected, quite a number of build segments as the original LaFerrari, but a lot of it is definitely unique. It feels like building a Speed Champions car. You know, it doesn't feel too completely unique and specialized just for the FXX-K in particular, but obviously the devil's in the details. You know, all the little stuff has been very specifically altered for this specific car, and they make optimal use of the newest pieces, such as the 2x2 wedge plates with a single notch and then the other or opposite corner being still sharp. I do have the original LaFerrari still to see those side by side. See, look, I mean, this just has such high shoulders, plus they didn't have the 2x2 wedges at that time. The front of it is very flat. Obviously the arrow is a little bit different, but I mean, these are based on the same actual car. What I do like about the older one better, about the LaFerrari, is that, you know, they kind of brought down these two parts here on the sides of the nose. So that's actually, you know, rather than having a continual kind of smooth feel over the top of it, although the arrow is a little bit different between the two. You know, the headlights, especially on the FXX-K, are just smoothed down with the tiny little LEDs beneath there. But I still feel like this just feels a little bit more like the Ferrari to me. But between the two options, I would still take the one on the right because they've put so much more detail into the shape on the front. You know, you've got that tall vertical splitter, which is approximated with the piece with the bar that sticks out towards one side. You know, it doesn't go all the way through as a full fin, but it does a pretty good job. They tried to approximate the dual deck horizontal splitter there. I think that this isn't great, but I appreciate what they tried to do there. But I am nitpicking. I'm absolutely, definitely nitpicking. To me, well, my favorite parts are, first of all, this sticker right here. I guess I could have applied it a little bit better. I wasn't exactly sure how that would land when I was putting it on there, but that could be actually placed a little bit farther back and down to continue the red through. You'd end up with a little bit of gap on the top, but I think continuing the red through to the back would work. But they also have a sticker on the top that works with that quite well. You know, just continues the lines across. I feel like that is done well, and I really like what they've done with the fins, the rear fins, the verticals, as well as the little suggestions of the little mini wings off to the sides. That's pretty nicely done. They've also done a pretty good job just on the back of this in general with the very, very extended splitter vane elements on it. I don't know, the LaFerrari looked pretty good too, but for what this FXX-K is supposed to be, it's looking pretty nice there. The only thing that is really missing here to me on the FXX-K in the center is just some sort of extension for that deck lid spoiler that they have on the thing, which is always there. You know, just some suggestion of that, not in its fully deployed form, but just a little bit of extension would have been nice. I don't know how they could have pulled that off, but that's one thing I would like to have seen. So much better they have done through this center section around the doors. That does have the minifig scale doors that are placed in there backwards, so handle towards the front, but that just kind of hides the handle in there a little bit. I just think it looks really good, and there's just so much depth in there as you look at this from the top, you know. quite a lot of depth, a deceptive amount of depth comparing it from the side. You look at this, you know, this just has 2 layers of plate, basically 2 planes. This goes so much farther than that. But just a nice looking vehicle on the whole, I think. Very happy with how they've just resolved the entire thing on the whole. Just the nose from these angles, yeah, it looks a little bit long in the proboscis, but from most angles, very happy with it. Just very easy access to the cockpit section. Nothing special to be seen in there. A little bit of yellow just adds a little flavor on the inside. They do use some additional colors on the inside, but no big deal. Plenty of room to get your figure in there. Can't really open these doors. You know, they're blocked, but that's fine. The main thing that these do is provide room for minifig arms on either side. Now this rig represents a rolling wind tunnel. Obviously it doesn't have the walls on it, but you have the platform to place your car there with the rollers, and those can actually roll. These stops for the front wheels actually hold and work quite well, and they're adjustable. So you could actually put different vehicles on this with different lengths of wheel base, because this section here can be scooched forward. They've got a small geared mechanism in there to give it a little bit of friction and make sure it doesn't move too much, but by default, just set it right in the center. They've got a couple of good looking stickers on the side to represent a control panel and some readouts that are coming out. They also show the car backwards because it should be nose facing towards the right. That's a little bit off. I think they should have just had a little more consistency there. They've got the big old fan up in front of the thing. I think in reality it should be at the back to actually pull air across for less turbulence, but you know, this is more for kind of the thought counting as opposed to kind of accuracy of it. The fan does turn. They've got a nice crank over on the side, a geared mechanism. It's geared for speed. It actually doesn't look all that bad from this side. You know, I like to see technical mechanisms, and what you do is you spin this up. So let me see if I can give you an angle that shows the fan there. So this spins up quite nicely, and I should do it this way. Turns the rollers. So you see, oops. So you see the wheels. I might need to adjust that just a little bit. There we go. So you see the wheels actually spinning. See? That's good. It's a little rough. Maybe has a little bit more friction than I would like in the system overall, but it looks good. I think that the spinning wheels actually look better than the fan. I think the fan could go for a little bit more speed, but it's not bad. And they've got the ramp back here, which can be folded up when the car isn't on it, just so it doesn't take up quite as much space, you know, on a shelf or something. And this jumper actually has a purpose, and I'll show you what that's all about in just a minute in conjunction with, well, let's just get to it. This build, this represents a corner of the development center. So, you know, you can imagine this is a fairly large building and has different departments and sections, and they've tried to put a bunch of stuff together. This in the corner has the engine testing corner, and that's a pretty nice engine actually. Mostly relies on stickers for the details of the tops of the head, or heads, but it looks pretty nice to me actually, and this is on a turntable. It can be spun around, but see, they've got these exhaust extractors there hooked up directly to the header. That's a good thing, and this is what can be used with the wind tunnel section. You just pull all this right on up as a sub-assembly, and then come over to here where you have that jumper. Just place that right there, and then hook up the 2 exhaust outlets right to the tailpipes of the car. A little bit of extra added realism there. Make sure that this is in a good place so it's not pulling on those hoses too much, and now you've got, you know, a safe space so your researchers don't die of carbon monoxide poisoning. With the exhaust extractor removed, now I can just rotate the engine around easily so you can see it from some different angles. Simple, small build, but very nice for its scale. They have a big old sticker on, kind of showing what's supposed to represent a faux blueprint. Not really, it's more like just an illustration of the major parts of the engine from the outside. A design sketch over here, just kind of showing the concepting stage for Aero, and that's based on the design of the Lego model. I like that. And then this can also be spun around. This is a nice little feature. A different sticker on the back of it, I'm assuming representing horsepower and torque. Nope, no, I'm not sure exactly what those represent because they don't look all that realistic to me. I think that's what they're kind of trying to suggest, but you can make it represent whatever you like. Let's move over here to this side. This is another interesting build, large sticker on the wall over here, but a little 3D printing booth. This is what this is supposed to represent, and it's supposed to be printing up like a model of the car itself. It's just a red roller skate piece. They actually include 2 of those in the set, so if you want a pair, you can get them, but only one is to spare if you're going to actually build this up. This does not have a window on the front of it, just has the sides, but it kind of looks like it's fully enclosed. A nice little touch. In case you're curious, here's how that looks from the other side. You know, kind of plain. 4 minifigures feels like a good number for the size of this set, if not even a little bit generous. I think they could have gotten away with just 3 and that would have been okay. The 2 figures on the left have identical torsos, which is great. They just work for all sorts of different types of Ferrari team members. They are not gender specific, so you can swap around heads and hair pieces to your heart's content and it still works just fine. The lady on the left has a tablet right now. She's looking at some details of the design based on the same design sketch that we saw a printout of in the second build. The driver there has a double-sided face. I'll show you that. It's a recognizable driver from another Lego theme, Nexo to be specific. It's Lance Richmond under there, and on the right they've taken and reused the torso from one of the Lego Ideas sets. That's nice to see. The wrench is in silver. I think that's a new color for this year. Look at this. We've got prints on the backs of these. And as for that alternate face, nothing else to be seen here, but just for full confirmation and so that you can see the rest of the faces from the front, just small little extra details. Always nice to get a double-sided face there, but yeah, that guy has some charisma, I suppose, the driver. So for me, and appropriately, the car is the star of the show. I also really like the small builds back here. This is just a nice looking booth. Even if you don't want it to represent a 3D printer, maybe change out the interior, customize that a little bit, or just use the general design. I just like the look of it overall. And also that engine, very nice. I even like these stickers. They just really add to a scene. Surprisingly, I'm not a big fan of the wind tunnel setup here, and I mean, I personally have been just enamored with aerodynamics on cars in particular for probably about 30 years now. I've looked at so many wind tunnel pictures since I was a kid, and yeah, I just don't feel it. I like what they did with the rolling section, but most of it doesn't really feel that worth it to me. I think I would have been happy with just a dyno bed kind of design, you know, something smaller and lighter. I like the working roller in the back, but you know, without actually having this in a tube and without actually having somebody with a smoke wand, it just doesn't feel complete for aero testing to me personally. I feel like that just wasn't that good of a use of so many pieces and doesn't add enough to the value. Or even I would have gone for just a powered turntable to display this. You know, something you turn a knob and then just watch the car spin around and maybe have some folks doing measurements around it or something. Just my personal thoughts though. But look at the car relative to the real thing. I think that's pretty cool. I do think that the center of the nose should have been depressed a bit rather than raised as it is, but still just the overall look of the thing is right. So that's my look at the LEGO Speed Champions Ferrari FXX-K and Development Center. If you have anything that you would like to add or counter, feel free to drop a little comment down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.